So, as many of my videos start, this one was inspired by a Tumblr post. Yay, Tumblr for giving me topics for my videos. But yeah, I'll put the Tumblr post in the description, of course. And I've talked about this before, the kind of favoritism when it comes to disabilities. And that was more talking about, more external disabilities versus internal. But now I'm going to talk about more the the mental type of disabilities. Now, interestingly enough, whenever you hear mental disability, you think, oh, someone who's mentally challenged instead of, mental illness, even though mental illness can cause a lot of disabling issues, mental illness can be disabling, sorry, and cause you to not be able to do the same things that everyone else can, or not everyone else, sorry, people without the illness can. But yeah, like favoritism amongst mental illness, the kind of sympathy that people get when they say, oh, I have depression, or I have anxiety disorder, or something like that, or they have an eating disorder, or something, I almost said innocuous, but it's not innocuous. Now, I'm not saying that people with anxiety or depression shouldn't get sympathy. I mean, yeah, they can be very difficult and very debilitating mental illnesses. Of course, yeah, but here's the thing. There are more than those two mental illnesses. There are tons of them, in fact. And if you're saying you're bringing awareness to mental illness, you should bring awareness to mental illnesses that people aren't already very familiar with. Because everyone's been sad. Everyone's been anxious. Granted, not to the degree, but they have something to base it upon. Like you can say, imagine when you were sad, but imagine that feeling being multiplied by 10 and then lasting forever. Then someone can get an idea of how that feels. Or imagine being anxious, but like all the time, over everything, and and that you can't do anything to stop it, and as their thing. And I am grateful for the awareness of it. Like, telling an anxious person to calm down is not going to make them calm down. Telling a depressed person to cheer up is not going to cheer them up. Because guess what? Mental illness, sure, it's part trauma, and by trauma I mean past experiences that have negatively affected your personality or way of living or your mannerisms, and part brain chemistry, and you can't change brain chemistry with two generic words. But so I am, like, with someone who has to deal with depression and anxiety, I'm grateful that people understand it, and I can say, this is just causing me a lot of anxiety, I just need to get out of the situation, or I'm feeling really anxious, a friend who knows I have these pills I can take as needed for anxiety. I think it's like, hey, you feeling okay? It's like, I just say, I was like, here, how about you take your medication, make you feel better, or if I've forgotten them, because that's happened before, they can say, it's like, here, let's just breathe, or whatever, because there's more awareness on how to handle someone with this. But what I hate is that, and what this post was talking about is, if you're going to say I support people with mental illnesses, or let's bring awareness to mental illness, let's do that for more than those two or three, because eating disorders get support too. Because here's the thing, like they're saying, like, what about ones that are a little bit more difficult or scarier even to deal with, such as schizophrenia, bipolar, OCD, or some other ones that they didn't mention, personality disorders or insomnia. Which insomnia can get scary if you have severe and chronic insomnia, because someone who has gone a really long time without sleep is kind of, yeah. I know that from personal experience because I ended up in the ER after going 5 days without sleep. Anyways, so, because those ones, if you say you have bipolar, or like bipolar is used as an insult still, even though it's used completely incorrectly. Here's a little definition of these illnesses for those who are unaware. So bipolar is not flipping from one mood to the next in 2 seconds. It's going through episodes of either mania, which is extreme elation or excitement, and depression. Now there's different types of bipolar, and for the most severe one, that's bipolar 1, and the episode for mania has to be a minimum of 5 days, and the depression 2 weeks, and an episode can last months. And rapid cycling is when you get more than 4 episodes a year. Yes, someone with bipolar disorder isn't always either in a manic or depressive episode. They can be in a normal state, is what some people call it, which is they're not neither, and they're functioning like a normal human being. not a normal human being, sorry. They're functioning like a sane, I don't know, a person without mental illnesses. There you go. So it's not flipping. There's bipolar, there's different types of bipolar, like there's ones that like they do, you know, they have much shorter, but they're less severe. Basically the ones with the really severe episodes have the longer episodes, so it's not like flipping between, so you're not being bipolar if you're being really angry and then really happy, you're being really angry and then really sad. Although, I love this quote, depression is anger without the enthusiasm, so, or without the energy or something like that, so I love that. So yeah, like bipolar, everyone thinks you're fucking crazy. Schizophrenia, everyone thinks you're fucking crazy. Personality disorder, everyone thinks you're fucking crazy. If you're dealing with insomnia, like you're fucking acting crazy. There are mental illnesses that get sympathy, and then there are mental illnesses that get stigma, it seems. There's still stigma for like the ones that get sympathy, but for more people than not. But just a perfect example of this is Robin Williams versus Amanda Bynes. Like, Robin Williams had severe depression and he died because of it. And then Amanda Bynes, bipolar schizophrenia, and the media's like, oh my god, look at this poor role model, look at this crazy bitch, and everything else. If you're going to be supportive of mental illness and sympathetic to mental illness, then be supportive and sympathetic to mental illness. You can't pick and choose. Which I know, it can be very difficult to live with or live with someone who has one of the more intense or scarier mental illnesses. Which, yeah, it can be, but the thing is that you can't be so fucking hypocritical, and maybe if we like there's so much, I've seen so much awareness on how to act around people with depression or anxiety. In fact, I remember in high school we had Mental Health Awareness Week, which good on ya, high school, for having Mental Health Awareness Week, but they really should have called it Depression Anxiety Awareness Week, because that was it. They didn't really talk about any other mental illnesses at all. Didn't explain what the difference is between the misconceptions, because there's still tons of misconceptions about bipolar, there's still tons of misconceptions. There's barely anyone knows anything about frickin' personality disorders, to the point where people are constantly misdiagnosed with other mental illnesses when in fact they do have a personality disorder. And here's the thing, personality disorders are not all dissociative personality disorders. There are different types of personality disorders. And same thing with schizophrenia, that's not all paranoid schizophrenia. There's so much, like, it's not just all one specific severe version. For example, there's borderline personality disorder, which is a really weird term, but what it is that you're extremely emotionally sensitive to everything. It's been described as having third-degree burns on 90% of your body. Everything, you feel everything harder. And also, you're terrified of losing people. You feel like you know, everyone's gonna leave you and everything else, and also you kind of act like a different person depending on the day or time of day even, or time of year, but you're aware of yourself the whole time. You just feel like you have different personality traits or even interests sometimes, and you're really inconsistent that way. That's why it's a personality disorder. So, yeah, there's that. And then with schizophrenia, you're not always having hallucinations and not being able to tell what's real. You could have a, you know, a lesser severe version of it. Because here's another misconception about hallucinations specifically. You have no idea what's real when you're dealing with hallucination. That's not always true. Now, hallucinations by definition is you're hearing something externally, or seeing something, or just you're feeling it, because that's another misconception. Hallucinations can be felt or experienced with any of your senses, any single one, and you don't have to have a chronic mental illness to experience hallucinations. For example, you go long enough without sleep, you're going to hallucinate, because guess what? If you're not dreaming while you're asleep, you're going to start dreaming while you're awake. I personally have experience with hallucinations from insomnia, and I could tell that they weren't real because I thought about them for a second, and I was like, okay, I'm hearing someone breathing in my bachelor apartment where I live alone, and the breathing is coming from the corner that is farthest from my closed window and my closed door. So that's not real. Or I'm on the bus and I'm hearing my phone ringing. My phone is in my hand, not my pocket where I'm hearing it from, and everyone sitting around me has their phone, doing shit on their phone, and also, I have a very unique ringtone. Okay, not real. Really fucking annoying that won't stop, but not real, etc. So you can see, oftentimes you can tell it's not there because you just gotta think about it. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't stop you from experiencing it, of course. Get some sleep or take your medication and maybe it'll go away. So yeah, but my sister is actually, she's younger than me, and I have a lot of issues with mental illness. And I know it's been used against me when discrediting me, which I also find really stupid, and I've talked about this before. But it's, oh, you have mental illness, nothing you say is worth anything, which is stupid, because I find people with mental illness are deeper. What they say holds more weight. They tend to look at things from a different perspective, and they think about things more because, you know, through treatment you have to analyze every thought because you deal with a lot of irrational thoughts. So the thing, like, sure, you say bullshit sometimes, but you're hyper-reflective, depending on the mental illness, of course, because I do have anxiety, so I end up being hyper-reflective. So if ever I have said something I later disagree with, I will make another video saying I looked at it and said, no, I don't disagree with, I don't agree, I disagree. Tongue, cooperate now. Anyways, but for a 17-year-old, my little sister, quite good at dealing with my issues with mental illness, because I am inconsistent. I am hyper. I can't hold attention to things, and I get worked up over things easily, and I get anxious over everything, and I'm always worried I'm fucking shit up and things like that, and she's always very good at, you know, whatever. So basically the point of this video, because I'm freaking at 12 minutes, fuck, anyways, bring awareness to other mental illnesses. Yes, continue teaching people how to act and how to deal with people in their lives who have depression and anxiety, but don't stop there. Teach people how to deal with someone who has OCD, who has a personality disorder, has schizophrenia, okay, those ones can be really hard, but I mean, come on, like, lots of, like, self-care as well. Like, you don't have to be there for them, but just don't totally abandon them either, and don't make it so that they're all alone, because that's really hard too. But, you know, if it's really detrimental to yourself, and you're just, it's fucking you up more, and it's your own mental health is important too there, bud. But just, you know, bring awareness to shit. You know what? I'm gonna make a Tumblr post about all the information I know about these less popular mental illnesses and everything else. Fuck yeah. Okay, this video is way too fucking long. Thanks for tolerating this length, and thanks for watching.